Ever since ECOWAS's response by imposing trade sanctions on the alliance of Sahel States' 3 members, that is, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, by choking off imports and sending food prices skyrocketing, and threatening military intervention to restore previously elected presidents, Alot has been, and continuing to occur in West Africa. Relations between the alliance of Sahel States and ECOWAS became particularly fraught since the removal of these countries' democratically elected presidents through military coups, a focal point of tensions between the 2 blocs. Accusing ECOWAS of coming under the influence of foreign powers, betraying its founding principles, and that the body had become a threat to member states and peoples, saw a new journey of AES, which was full of doubt as whether these 3 poorest countries, which had been under ECOWAS, would manage to survive. Nigeria's president, Mr. Bola Tinubu, being the chairman of ECOWAS, had been left with a number of questions concerning the issue of the alliance of Sahel States. Not only putting trade sanctions, the chairman had to decide finally on using military force on the 3 military leaders in order to restore previous governments. This caused mixed reactions, but according to recent moves by Nigeria on the alliance of Sahel States, everyone is shocked. The issue of removing the 3 military leaders, including President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, President Assimi Goïta of Mali, and President Abdoulaye Tiani of Niger, has been being carried out under sabotage. This sabotage includes the use of destabilizers who, after carrying out military operations, they hide in certain countries under ECOWAS under the governments of those nations' support. Ever since the departure of the 3 countries, creation of an environment of peaceful talks between the 2 blocs has been the focal point of pulling AES members back to ECOWAS, even though sabotage is present. Even though the Nigerian government had not been directly holding meetings with presidents of AES, a number of presidents under ECOWAS, including the President of Senegal, Abdoulaye Faye, President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, among certain few presidents, have been to these 3 countries to negotiate on their return to ECOWAS and also create brotherhood. As the leader of ECOWAS, President Bola Tinubu has been preserved. This has been showing signs that maybe he is waiting for the outcomes from the negotiations to plan the next move. The significance of Nigeria in West Africa's politics and trade can't be underlooked. Ivory Coast and Benin leaders have been the countries on the far left side concerning the introduction of the allies of Sahel States. As a number of West African countries have come out to show brotherhood, Nigeria's response has been the major awaited respondent concerning his stance on AES members. But how has Nigeria responded? Is Nigeria's government creating tensions with AES? What is President Bola Tinubu up to concerning the 3 former ECOWAS members? Even though, according to what has recently just happened between France and Nigeria, is discussed by many as a root cause for Nigeria's decision to behave like its government now wants to directly work with AES members, and need to know the exact reasons for this shift by Nigeria, is major to declare. But why this recently happened event is linked to Nigeria's bias against the West, and maybe ECOWAS even when it has its president as its chairman. 3 Nigerian presidential jets, including a newly purchased Airbus, were reportedly seized by a French court amid legal dispute with a Chinese firm. This creates questions. How could disputes between Nigeria and a Chinese firm be resolved in France by again a French court? How could France enter into matters concerning debts disputes between 2 countries, even when its concern seems minimal? still questioning ourselves about this scenario, again, Nigeria makes what seems to be a boldest move on AES members. These two scenarios are discussed by many as the reasons for Nigeria being seen becoming close to Niger, alongside Mali, and Burkina Faso concerning what we are about to find out. Zhongshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Company Limited, a Chinese company's seizure, according to a report, includes a newly acquired Airbus A330 valued at over $100 million. But could this really be the spark of Nigeria's decision to be seen dancing in broad daylight with Niger alongside Mali and Burkina Faso? By the time all these happening, a high-level delegation led by General Christopher Musa, Chief of Staff of the Nigerian Armed Forces, was received in Niamey on Wednesday, August 28th, as part of the strengthening of bilateral relations between the two neighbors. This is the answer many claim Nigeria decides to answer France and ECOWAS. Yeah, it might be right, but why does Nigeria start to feel missing its beloved brothers? We are talking about tensions, but the main issue here is brotherhood. The visit of the Chief of Staff of the Nigerian Armed Forces to Niger on August 28th comes against a backdrop of thawing relations between the two countries, linked by common security challenges and the recent history of political tensions. You have heard it right. Sharing common security issues. Nigeria, besides AES members, have a common enemy. This common enemy is none other than numerous terrorist groups. Yes, the issue of military coups might be an official one according to the laws governing ECOWAS, but looking at matters in a broader perspective is key here. Shortly leaving Nigeria aside, we see that a number of delegates, including even presidents of countries under ECOWAS, have been to at least not one but two, or even three of these countries under AES. These three landlocked Sahel countries need neighbors to rely on concerning trade. This seemed hard at first, but now guess what? Togo, another neighbor who has a coastline, never hesitated to work with Burkina Faso alongside Mali and Niger. This bold move by Togo to continue strengthening ties with AES members is the spirit of brotherhood, which is more than the West's concern. Together, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso totaled over 92% of the Port of Lomé's transit in 2022. In detail, Burkina Faso grabbed 80.48% of the port's transit. Niger came next with 7.63%, and Mali followed with 4.55%. Amidst anticipations that the current tensions between the AES and the ECOWAS and sanctions imposed by the latter could strongly impact transit between Lomé and the AES neighbors in coming years, Togo weighs it down to strengthen its ties with AES members. Seeing Nigeria coming out to work with Niger alongside Mali and Burkina Faso clearly shows that the issue of elimination of terrorism and brotherhood in West Africa are key matters. How could you leave a person with whom you share many things in common just because your most specific focus is on laws and regulations which even certain ECOWAS member countries' leaders are breaking for their own benefits? Indeed, strengthening military ties in West Africa is most important towards the immense fight against insurgency. Even though tensions between the two blocs may seem prevailing, the spirit of brotherhood is slowly healing this soaring wound in West Africa. The context of the influence of the West and Russia comes in later after the countries in West Africa have clearly bounding principles.